What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. Today we're going to be going over the top 10 saltiest commanders we've gotten this year. Now just a little side note before we get into the video, Nadu will not be featured on this list. We all know Nadu's number one. Nadu can't hurt you anymore, he's banned, so he's not going to be on this list. So shout out to the patrons for doing what you do. If you guys want a free $15, you can click on that whatnot link in the description down below. Additionally, if you guys would like, comment, and subscribe, I really appreciate it. It helps out the channel a ton. Now let's get into that top 10 list. At number 10, we have Ulec. This guy gave those crazy Eldrazi players the access to 5 colors, which is just not okay. Additionally, he's only 5 mana, and he basically doubles up on all of your Eldrazi and the activated and triggered abilities whenever you cast those Eldrazi's on the stack for 2 mana, which is kind of crazy whenever you think about it. It gets a little bit wordy, but basically all of your cast triggers are going to get doubled. You're going to double up on all of your Eldrazi's. And then again, we have access to 5 colors. So now getting those Eldrazi's out is not going to be very hard. We don't have to commit a ton of artifacts to the board to get these massive colorless creatures out. Now we can simply entomb, reanimate an old Gnawbone, generate 7 treasure tokens, and you're casting Ulamogs as soon as turn 3. At number 9, we have Oca Splitter of Seconds. This girl's a 4 CMC commander in Grixis. She has Menace, and then she says whenever she deals combat damage, you're going to get that many additional upkeep triggers. Now, what's so salty about this commander is, one, she's in Grixis. It's a very powerful deck, and additionally, there's just a ton of triggers to keep up with. You're going to have all of your triggers at the beginning of your upkeep, and then you're going to have all of those triggers after she deals combat damage. What's kind of crazy about this is while they're resolving all those triggers, they're explaining what they're doing, they're going through each individual thing, resolving it, they're absolutely cooking you, which is just going to add to the salt level of this commander. She's powerful, she destroys, and she takes a lot of time to resolve. That's just everything put in the basket to cause a salty commander. At number 8, we have Voja, the elf ball commander everybody loves to hate. At 5 CMC, you get a 5/5 in Naya colors with Trample, Vigilance, and Ward 3. A lot of words there. Additionally, this guy says whenever he attacks, you're going to put a 1/1 counter on your entire board state equal to the amount of elves you control. And then you're going to draw cards equal to the amount of wolves you have on the battlefield. What's crazy here is people don't even worry about that last part. They say they do, they don't. What they're going to do is they're going to shove Maskwood Nexus in the deck or a mirror entity to turn all of their elves into wolves. And then you've just got a very efficient elf ball deck that has red and white in it that just hits like a truck. The commander's really hard to remove in the early game too because of all of your elves. You're going to turbo this guy out, and this guy, just plain and simple, is a pub stomper that has been absolutely ruining tables at LGS's. At number 7, we have the Wise Moth Man. Now, the reason this guy's going to make it here on the list, well, first we should read the commander, right? He's 4 CMC in Simic colors. He gives everybody a rad counter whenever he enters the battlefield, and then when somebody mills a non-land permanent, we get to put a counter on a creature. Not that bad, right? Wrong. People absolutely hate mill strategies, and that's exactly what this guy is. It's a heavy mill strategy that can be a combo deck. This guy goes infinite with Food Chain because Food Chain with Mist Hollow Griffin gets you infinite mana to cast creatures. That allows you to cast your commander an infinite amount of times, and now you can give everybody infinite rad counters, causing them to die on their upkeep. So this is one of those decks you have to ask, is this that Mothman deck? Are you running Food Chain? Are you not? And then even if they're not, this can kind of be a non-deterministic combo deck with a lot of other pieces that just are very synergistic with the deck, right? Like take this one for instance. It says whenever somebody draws a card, or whenever we draw a card, we're going to force our opponents to mill cards, right? Well, Fathom Mage says whenever we put a 1/1 counter on it, we get to draw a card. So now we kind of have this non-deterministic storm thing where both of these cards are very good in the deck, and we're going to play both of them. That could cause all of our opponents to mill their entire library. So this guy does just cause a lot of salty scenarios where people just need that one last land drop, they mill it off the top, and then they don't draw into their land drop. People are going to hate you for that. I know that's not how statistics works, but try convincing them that after they miss their land drop. At number 6, we have Storm. This girl's a 4 CMC commander in Temur colors. She has Flying, Vigilance, and then whenever she deals combat damage, she gives your next instant a sorcery spell, Storm. That's just not okay. Even something like a Jeska's Will for 3 is going to be insane here and give you a ton of value. Extra turn spells already kind of salty, and that's kind of what people look to whenever they looked at this girl. Oh, we can just take additional extra turn spells. We can get double regrowth effects to return an extra turn spell and then an additional regrowth effect. That way we can kind of take infinite infinite turns there. She's also really good with tutors that just put your pieces directly onto the board, like Court of Calling. Now we can get all of our creature combos, put them directly on the board, and then go off. It's also not hard to up that storm count with stuff like Utopia Sprawl, your mana rocks that just tap for additional mana, like your Soul Rings. There's a lot of ways to up that storm count before we go ahead and cast that instant or sorcery spell. So it's kind of a deck where if you let Storm connect, it's kind of their game to lose. And because of that, I think she kind of ends up on the Corvold level, right? Way too salty for casual unless the deck is particularly dumbed down, or you're playing that kind of casual game where you guys are kind of one notch below CEDH and you're just trying to have some fun, right? At number 5, we have Ygra, Eater of All, a 5 CMC commander in Gilgari colors. He has Ward, Sacrifice of Food, and then he turns all other creatures into food, including your opponents, and that's kind of what's going to add to the salt level here. Additionally, whenever a food enters the graveyard, we get to throw 2 1/1 counters on Ygra himself. So you guessed it, this deck is just a lot of artifact hate because now all of our opponent's creatures are artifacts. So now we can slam something like a Bane of Progress, and he's just going to take care of the entire board, leaving our massive commander to just commander damage someone out. On top of that, he has some very cool combo pieces with Experimental Confectioner. Now we can just keep sacrificing that token again and again, and it's going to keep coming back because that token is a food. Additionally, we have Viridian Revel for some insane card advantage. There's just some cool things this guy does, but all of those cool things you get to do are going to cause salt. Your opponents are just going to get more and more upset while they are unable to have anything stick on the battlefield. At number 5, we have Maha, a 5 CMC mono black commander that has Ward, discard a card, Flying, Trample. He's a 6/5, which is insane, and then he's going to give all of your opponent's creatures toughness 1. That's a problem because in black there's a plethora of ways to give all of your opponent's creatures -1/-1, including enchantment and creatures that do that as well. So permanent effects that say, hey, as long as my commander's on the battlefield, you're not going to get any creature to resolve and stick. What's really cool about this is we can shove in Feign Death effects. That way, whenever our commander is going to get targeted, because let's be honest, he's going to get targeted, we can just cast Feign Death for 1 black mana, and then boom, he's back onto the battlefield, just adding to the saltiness of this deck. Additionally, we can include stuff like Massacre Girl to get card advantage off of all of our opponent's creatures dying. This is just going to be one of those decks that you know it's going to cause salt before the game has even started just because he's in your command zone. At number 3, we have Winter. This is a 4 CMC Jund commander with Ward 2, and at the beginning of our upkeep, everybody draws a card. So group hug, right? Nope, wrong, because this guy has a Delirium ability that reduces everybody's hand size equal to the amount of permanent types in our graveyard. So the goal is pretty simple here. We're going to play discard effects that hurt our opponent and help us. Now we're discarding the types we need into our graveyard, and our opponents just have to straight up discard cards, which everybody loves, right? No, again, wrong. And you would say, hey, the extra card advantage is going to make up for that, right? Maybe. Depending on the player, they won't even cast Winter until they get those 7 card types in the graveyard, and then by then, you're going to have no hand at the beginning of that last end step. And then whenever it gets back around to their turn and everybody draws 2 additional cards, we're going to make everybody discard those cards before the end of our turn with our discard effects. So once we're set up, you're never going to see a card that Winter gives you. Unless you're playing instant speed removal, this guy's going to be very hard to get rid of. And again, we're in Jund. Bringing this guy back from the graveyard or protecting him with our instant speed protection spells is going to be pretty easy. At number 2, we have Veon the Relentless, a 4 CMC Dimir commander. And I'm going to stop right there because the fact this guy's in Dimir, that's already going to add to the start salt score. Dimir, just a very degenerate color. We all know what those players are doing. They're running all the removal spells and all the counter spells. You can't get anything through and they don't let you have any fun, right? Calling you Dimir players out. Additionally, this guy has Ward 2. We can all agree that's going to add to the salt level a little bit. And last but not least, whenever an opponent creature dies, that guy's just going to get exiled instead. So no graveyard shenanigans, and if you're trying to do the aristocrat things, that's not going to happen as well. Not to mention, at the end of each end step, this guy's going to create X Relentless Rats equal to the amount of creatures we sent to exile this turn. So this guy's actually incentivized to just run a shit ton of removal, remove all of your opponent's stuff, and make a massive board of rats while he's doing that. That's just not okay. And then you don't have any blockers because this guy's removing all your stuff and you're just getting hit in the face by 9/9 rats. You're not going to feel great, and you can't resolve any of your creatures. You just kind of got to take it on the chin. And finally, at number 1, we have Kudo, King Among Bears. This is a 2 CMC commander in Selesnya colors. It's a 2/2 bear that says all creatures have base power 2/2 and they are bears in addition to their other types. Now, why is this so salt-inducing? Well, out of the gate, some decks are just not going to work anymore, right? There's a lot of power matters strategies, there's a lot of commanders and creatures that care about their power, and there's a lot of decks that want to go wide and just deal a lot of damage with big dragons. Those big dragons are 2/2s now, right? So right out of the gate, it's salty just because of what it does. And then depending on the 99, this could just be Elesh Norn in a Selesnya bear covered trench coat, right? Out of nowhere, we tutor up Elesh Norn, throw it on the battlefield, and you get no creatures while we get all the creatures. And in fact, all of those creatures are going to be buffed because Elesh Norn is on the battlefield. There's other effects that prevent 2/2s from attacking us as well. This could just be Selesnya stacks that adds in a 1/1 counter strategy, ensuring that your creatures are always going to be bigger than everybody else's. And even in a non-stacks list, again, you're going to ensure that your creatures are always the biggest and you're going to control the combat step. And that's going to be that number 1 spot at the most saltiest commander of 2024. Let me know if you guys agree with the list. Let me know if I missed any in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Shout out to my patrons, Irrelevant Chicken Salad, Preator, The Professional Heal. You guys are amazing. Keep the channel going. Allow me to do what I do. With that being said, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors, and I will see you in the next one.